I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we are starting the broadcast of our final match of the Carcassonne Champions League week. That's Warta of Brazil versus Yuhaihanemi of Taiwan. I do apologize for the late start, and the reason is that the previous match between the Malaysian and the Czech players have been running for so long that it actually seeped into this match. But we will be able to see how the Brazilian player is getting on at the moment. They're still, of course, playing their first game. 9 minutes have passed, which, knowing Brazilian tempos, is about half the game, and this is exactly the case. So, the Taiwanese expert is outrating the Brazilian player by 100 points, or a bit more at the moment, but Warta has won Brazilian online championship before, defeating a few masters, and they have definitely crossed the expert threshold multiple times, and they happen to have the lead in the game after completing this city just as we join. Yeah, maybe it was actually a bad idea to start a separate stream, which was my mistake. But anyway, it is what it is. So let's now try and make sense of this position and see if the Taiwanese player with the green meeples has a chance to come back from the deficit. And it does not appear to be the case, as another blow delivered by the Brazilian, not only completing a 4-point city, but also dropping a 9-point field with tempo. But some threats exist still in the position for the Taiwanese player. He has a city at the bottom, which he could complete. And not anymore, as the Brazilian invades. But wait a second. How about, as the player with the green meeples, we just go over here and we pray and pray and pray for the one remaining splitter tile that goes over here? Then we would be getting 16 points for the city, and our opponents would be getting only 4 for this side. Of course, not a great chance of this happening, and that's why Green doesn't bother. Instead, they simply continue their monastery, complete their monastery, leave a 4-point road open up for grabs, and then they're trying to maybe inflict some damage over here, either connecting to this city at the top, or maybe just finishing a city, dropping a farmer, trying to invade the Brazilian farm with their meeple majority. Hi Kaika, thank you for reminding everybody about the correct course of action. And Yuha indeed does start attacking Lucio's field, which is not a great source of concern for red here, because even if green is successful, this field will be tied, and red has the advantage on the scoreboard. Red will be eventually connecting over here, neutralizing the city. One thing that he should probably be doing is maybe going over here and just limiting some threats next to this square, because given the fact that there's still three regular Doritos remaining, it is quite possible that green could get a city cap, go over here, get 1 Dorito for this square to get a second meeple into the city, and then use another Dorito to bring in this 1-point red guy and complete his city with a 2-to-1 meeple majority for at least 20 points. And maybe more if some shields are involved. Hi Ian, thank you for the kind words. Wartar, starting a 4-point road, which also makes sense. It's a pure equity move. It also puts some pressure on this yuhaihanemi, city. For example, if he is to draw one of the 4 remaining crossroads, or 5 remaining crossroads to be precise, then he gets to go here and restrict the city quite severely. Instead, he gets a straight line, but it restricts the city nonetheless. Yuha connects to the farm, now gets a Dorito tile, which he could in theory use here to connect to the farm again. This would leave him only 1 meeple to play with. So this is a decision that needs to be made carefully. From Green's perspective, though, there's still a couple of tiles that go into this square, and by a couple, I mean 1. Oh, what's interesting tile counting here from Lucio, some very strong sequence of moves. And it appears to be the case that no vanilla city tiles are available, and no parallel city cap tiles are available. The only tile that goes there doesn't even finish the city, it only continues it, and it happens to be drawn by Warta anyway. This was the last tile that fits into the square, which doesn't even guarantee the connection of the completion of the city, and it is drawn by red anyway. So this meeple, as counterintuitive it may seem, is trapped. And the Brazilian player was about to double down on trapping, and now is abusing Green's road over here, but just in time Green gets the one and only dagger tile, or one of the 2 dagger tiles rather, that was fitting into the square, and now is threatening an 8-point city, an equalization on the scoreboard, and more severely, a 7-point road monastery over here. So as Warta, you really want to prevent that city from being completed, so probably you're looking to continue your road, but it's not obvious whether you want to go over here and simply stick the road into your opponent's city, making sure that if they do complete the city, that they continue your road, or maybe you want to go over here, leave yourself a chance to finish your own road, and then try to later block that square completely. And given the fact that so many city plus field tiles have gone out, this is a rather unusual tile runout. I maybe prefer the latter route than the former, even though the former is more precise in normal circumstances, and Lucio recognizes it. It does not work in this particular instance, as yuhaihanemi finishes his city anyway, but this does not mean that this decision was wrong by any means. Because from Red's perspective, there was still a bunch of city plus road tiles available, such as the starting tile, and of course, the last remaining dagger, that this move made more sense. Now Reds can proceed in a variety of ways. Maybe just going over here makes the most sense. Also, I need to know that because Green needed the splitter over here, Green was not able to use the splitter to prevent Warta's invasion, which is still a threat. This here city will not be completed, but upon connection it will be scoring at least 9 points, which on this increasingly tight board will be a good investment of a meeple. A lot in this game will depend on this here section of the board, and one particular tile, the Road Monastery. If a Road Monastery is drawn by Green, this will lead to devastating effects for the Brazilian, as either a 7-point monastery or even a 9-point field will result into strong gains for Green and the completion of the road. So Green, I think, does not even want to go over here. Going here would allow the continuation of this road with a bunch of curves which are remaining, and there's still 3 of those. Actually, I changed my mind. I think it's not that bad. Because let's say if we just ignore that square, and maybe we do... Yeah, if we just ignore that square, then our opponents could go here and block it. So Yuha prefers a different route. The plan for the Taiwanese player, which actually is really, really strong, is to take one of the 2 remaining umbrella tiles. Wait, one of the 3 remaining umbrella tiles. Go over here, score 4 points, finish this 4-point city, and then get one of the many curves, get a road meeple back because the road would be pre-finished from this moment over here, and then gets a curve that drops a 6-point farmer here or a 6-point farmer here. And Yuha is really going at it. He uses a scoring tile just to protect that spot, something with which I actually happen to agree. Hi VMappa, I see already rooting for Brazil. I do expect the majority of my viewers today to be supporting Brazil, so if there's anybody from Taiwan or a lover of Taiwan, then do make yourselves known as well for some counterbalance. Warta with a starting tile now. He's not able to score 4 points for the city over here. Probably what he wants to be doing is maybe starting a new city somewhere else. In this situation, given the fact that there are a few city caps remaining, you can totally afford to spend your last meeple. And there are even several crossroad tiles remaining that can allow him to get himself a road meeple back. And of course, the road monastery can be used as a road end tile as well. So I'm probably debating between 2 moves. I can either go over here, start a new city with my last meeple with no fear, and then start putting some pressure on this square, maybe having some chance to block it before Yuha manages to get 4 points for the city. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, I think this is more of a panic move. And the alternative was to start a new city over here that would have protected this invasion square because there were still 3 road Doritos remaining that would have fit there. And it happens to be a tile that we want to draw. Yuha now decides to start blocking this square, but chooses not to reinvade, and I wonder why this is the case. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There is actually still 1 tile that fits into this square. And since now red's position is getting a bit dicey, I think it's not impossible for red to actually go over here with his next tile and meeple this part of the city, and then hope for the last remaining triple city tile to not only connect but also overrun this ruin. Given the fact how monstrous this road setup here is, and the fact that red's meeple here is blocked and road obstructed, this might be something that red will need to resort to. Aren't I saying that Yuha would have used the quadruple city tile on the used city cap? But actually with a large number of city caps remaining, I don't think it's such a big deal. Okay, that would actually be pretty bad. But no, it's okay, whatever. Then we get blocked, but then at least we protect this invasion. Yuha now gets, of course, the last remaining triple city. So this will not be happening. This green guy will be having himself a majority. And 6 points, 7 points is the total gain of this meeple, because this side is scoring 1 point, this side is scoring 8 points. Well, Warta was very interesting. Oh, wait. No, that was Lucy. Why would you do that? Okay, I see why you would do that. It's not that bad at all. Although no, it is definitely a mistake. Like, it was just so much better to score 3 points, because he's really trying hard to protect his meeple. But there are only 9 tiles remaining, and he has already 9 meeples that he has used. I mean, wait. 9 tiles remaining, 2 meeples that he can still use. It's more than enough with so little tile remaining. So this means that this move by Lucio actually induced a mistake from the Taiwanese player here, because I guarantee you the next tile that Yuha is going to have in his hand is this tile over here that would have scored him 4 points and secured the road. Of course, this move absolutely has its merits. No. Ooh, warta now decides to invade the road? That's actually pretty interesting, but it's really dangerous because Yuha can now meeple this city and get himself a big city, but I can still understand this move. It makes total sense. Because this road is going to be worth a lot of points, namely 10 points to be exact. So it's definitely something that you want to be equalizing. But Yuha can easily go over here, start the city, and the city is surprisingly difficult to block. Just because there are 3 tiles still like this, you see warta now cannot block. I mean, he can get himself his own road meeple back, which he absolutely should. But Yuha still has 2 more city tiles like this that can be used to finish a big city. That was a great sequence here from the Taiwanese player, and I think this is the idea that actually I initially overlooked. This move over here was not just defending this square, it was actually pre-building this city. So now some difficulties here for the Brazilian, who now cannot finish his road because his road was early obstructed by Yuha. But a 3-point move is still good. Yuha, with a scoring tile, can either go here and clean off the city cap, or maybe here and start a ring road. I also need to point out that, like, warta's position's okay. He still has, I mean, he's down on the scoreboard, but he still has these 6 points for the road to compensate on the scoreboard. These roads, we assume, are going to be shared. These roads will be shared. These 1-point cities cancel each other out. And actually, on this city here, red has 10 points, whereas green has 7 points here. So technically, red is still 3 points ahead, but green drops a farmer, which makes a lot of sense. Warta gets a much-needed scoring move, which puts him still ahead. So this move puts green +3. This move will put red at +1. And now red will be threatening to draw a curve and drop a farmer here. I'm actually now starting to wonder, do we even have to take these 4 points? Can we instead do something else? There are still 2 curves remaining, or at least there should be in the deck. So we could go here and attack the field for 9 points. I don't think it's worth it. Or we could go over here and pre-meeple this field, perhaps. I don't think it's worth it either. But the problem that I see, let's say if we go here and take the points, then Yuha could draw a curve himself, and then they would have no problem going over here, unifying the fields and dropping a farmer. Or they would just go over here, unify the fields and drop a farmer. No. They would go here, drop a farmer without unifying the roads. But still it appears that our best course of action is 4 points. We're 1 point ahead, and really not the best tile for warta here. Okay, this is going to get really interesting. So the 2 remaining tiles are, the 3 remaining tiles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 2 curves. What's the third one? If somebody could help me out, that would be really nice. I don't think that's some sort of city tile. Wait, this was the last Dorito of its kind. So what's the last remaining tile? Is that a straight line or something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, not a straight line. The last tile really matters here. And that's, oh, that's the road monastery, of course. Well, would you look at this? So I think Yuha probably should have some sort of 100% win here. Let me think about this. So he could go over here and drop a farmer, and now all 3 possible tiles would allow him an invasion. This means that Warta could, of course, draw a blocking tile, something like a straight road, and he could go over here and block that invasion square for good. But this would mean that Warta would not be able to connect the 2 roads and drop a farmer himself. So this is a tactic to explore. One other option, oh, which is so sneaky. We could go over here and invade the field like this through the outside of a curve, and there's still 2 curves available for us to do that, and it's completely unblockable. Because the 3 remaining tiles are, again, road, monastery, curve, curve. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, 2 curves remaining. So do you see that tactic over here? And then we probably have a 2 in 3 chance of winning, because this invasion should be successful. And if Warta gets a curve himself and goes over here and drops a 6-point farmer, which is what he wants to be doing, because these 2 roads are technically not still unified, then if we get a curve on our last turn, and he finds it, it's unbelievable. It's a great, fantastic move, and it's now I think a 50-50 shot for the win, if I'm not mistaken, or even more. Because let's say if Warta goes here and drops a farmer, which makes complete sense, this gives a meeple back to Yuha to score. Either he's going to go over here so he gets his 4-point road and the 9-point field, and the road monastery will score us only 6 as Warta. So I believe the Chinese player or the Taiwanese player is going to have it. I also needed to point out that the last tile was actually available, that if Yuha were to get the monastery, then he could go over here and expand his field. Oh, that would be 6 points, because 3 for the monastery, 3 for the field. So I guess he could have just gone over here anyway. And so it appears that the game was coming down to a coin flip or not. I really wonder if the choice of Warta's moves was correct here. Because from his perspective, I guess he still had to do it. Yeah, that's the reality of it. Yuha wins by 1 point. What an incredible game, and just a fantastic endgame move. Okay, so this definitely has to go into the endgame puzzles collection on top.carcassonne.com or .net or whatever that was. And a great find here from the Taiwanese player to find a 2 in 3 winning chance, an unblockable field connection through a curve. I'm not sure if after this Warta could have done anything short of just drawing both curves himself. Wait a second. Let me just, I want to think about this. So imagine if, nah. I think that with the curve, Warta would still win. So with just the 1 in 3 chance. I'm still trying to figure out, was there a chance for Yuha to win without any of the curves? But I don't think that would simply be the case. Yeah, because the final exchange was this. With this tile, green scored 13 points, 4 for the road and 9 for the field. And Warta scored 6, so that's plus 7. If Yuha were to get the monastery, the best he could do was scoring 6 points here. In which case, Warta could have just scored anything. I don't know, 4 over here, for example. 3 for the field plus 1 for the road. And that would have been enough to win him the game by something like 3 points. Well, anyway, credit where credit's due. Definitely congratulations to Yuha for managing to solve a spectacular endgame. Let's see if the Brazilian manages to deliver a response in the second game. And it will be difficult because now Yuha is the starting player. Now the Taiwanese player has the red meeples and the Brazilian with the patriotic green to match the flag. 3 points extra for the Taiwanese player here, and most importantly, the starting player advantage. Some scoring opportunities. Probably want to go over here, start a new road. That's the most efficient way to score. He chooses the more calm approach, which also gives back a 3-point road for Warta, which is why this move was superior, but many players don't know this and just try to shy away from aggressive scoring. So for example, now it's stronger to just start this road over here, hoping for 2 curves rather than adding 1 point, but a conservative move over here from Yuha. Maybe not concerned so much with scoring, more concerned with just keeping a simple position and maybe later solving a difficult endgame. Warta now with the lovely Pindertron maneuver, taking 2 points, obstructing the city cap of Yuha, and now placing another city cap in a position which can only benefit green. If red takes the 4 points for the city cap, red will expose a blocking platform against himself, and if green takes the 4 points from the city cap, well then green takes the 4 points. So only good outcomes from the situation for green. It's a well-known tactic. And now look at this. Red with a very difficult tile to play. His meeple here is now obstructed, and he's now wondering whether it's worth to place a 5-point monastery and risk 2 meeples. The answer is still yes. But instead he decides to go for a 3-point monastery, I was going to say, but he doesn't meeple it, which is a sizable mistake for a player of this caliber, like when rated 580. Kind of at this point, you should be developing some good judgment when it is worth to meeple monasteries or not. So look, now this is a 4-point monastery that's controlling green's road. Like, what could possibly go wrong with that? So it appears to be a lot of missed scoring potential from the Taiwanese player, maybe something that the Brazilian will be looking forward to capitalize on. And we could start by going over here and starting to restrict that square, which is the purpose of this move in the first place. He might want to postpone this for later, but if he does so, this will leave more tiles for Yuha to liberate his meeple. Instead, Warta chooses to try and attack Yuha's city, which on one hand makes some sense, because it also exposes another attacking platform against Yuha's city. On the other hand, you typically want to wait for these cities to develop before attacking them, just to make sure that a couple more tiles are spent by Yuha. And now, of course, red can re-attack quite productively. A monastery for Warta, a couple of lovely spots. The most principled move here is to meeple this monastery over here for 4 points, setting up one of the 2 road monasteries, and controlling this here square. Instead, the Brazilian uses it to use as a blocking tile, limiting the number of tiles that fit here, setting up a complete block, which is now prevented. by the Taiwanese player, because now this here tile does not go over here anymore. And look, this completely works, as Yuha is able to get himself back a meeple. But Warta, in the meantime, with some scoring on his own. 8 points extra on the scoreboard for the Brazilian. Still a decent city over here that could be developed, but a 4-point road in good shape for Yuha. And of course, this big city threat over here. And look at this. The Taiwanese player is the first one to drop a farmer in a game against a Brazilian. That's not something that you can see happen very often, because there are some stylistic differences in play, and East Asian players tend to generally drop their farmers a little bit later, and Brazilian players tend to drop their farmers a little bit earlier. But every position is unique, of course. Green immediately picks up that empty city cap, tries to deny easy 7 points for red, and also start a new city of his own. This situation here is still unresolved. So as Warta, I'm probably looking to either go over here and start blocking that square, which would be quite annoying for red. I'll explain why in a second. Or I could ignore that entirely and just simply go for a scoring move. And you know me, I definitely prefer the latter approach. That's the lower variance approach. This move over here does a lot of things. It builds up a 5-point road. It indirectly protects your city, because now your opponents cannot get an easy 2-pointer with an attack. And the Brazilian finds this move. This is great recognition. And I was going to say, it also blocks a 7-point monastery spot, which now is no longer usable by Yuha. And it starts harassing Yuha's road. So 4 accomplishments in one move. If you're really working for efficiency, it doesn't get better than this. Red still has a monastery spot for himself, 7 points over here, which he absolutely should go for. But given that he has been a bit timid with monasteries over here, by the way, note how this monastery has been almost completed. So 9 points is the miss. As a result, given how conservative and timid Red has been with the monasteries and how much time he has spent on his move, I have a suspicion that he's not going to use the 7th spot over here, which is going to be a mistake. Now, this 7-point spot is of course a bit more dangerous than the other spots, because there are some blocking threats from here and from here. But because you only need one more tile, just one single road tile to consolidate and then get your meeple back, it is actually pretty safe. So you don't really get blocked there very often. If you do, then you do get the 8 points anyway. And with a heavy heart, he makes the move. Warta does not get a blocking tile. Well, he could go here, but I wouldn't bother. I would really wait for a city tile. So, as green, I'm looking to either continue my road, which would expose a vulnerability against my city, but whatever. And, by the way, it's not just whatever, there are some considerations behind this. So, for example, if we go over here, then I know that some of our blocking tiles that could be used against the square are road tiles, but our opponent needs road tiles in other places, such as this monastery. That's why Red is less likely to use a road tile to block here. A bit of a chickeny move from Red. Not finishing his road, but really trying to finish his monastery and start a new road. It actually makes a lot of sense. But I think just getting meeple back was a bit stronger. Warta now not protecting this square. Actually, I don't like this. I think it's an impatient move and the first real tactical mistake from a Brazilian, from the Brazilian in this case. It was better to first move here, protect the more dangerous square, and then wait for the other Dorito, of which there were still plenty remaining in the deck, to make this move that he just made. So this could end up costing him dearly. Maybe just being a bit too quick And look at this. Yuha is now trying to build a big city, but warta immediately connects. So this threat here is completely resolved. Moreover, this square here is open, so green will definitely not be placing a tile anywhere here anytime soon. Yuha is now trying to block green city, which is a strong move. Green gets a road meeple back, and with their scoreboard lead, they could actually start looking into trying to win with a bunch of blocked meeples anyway. Red starts a new road, a new city, and completes their road. Warta probably looking to invade the field, perhaps. Maybe their Brazilian instincts might kick in here. I think that would be a bit premature because this field is not really well developed. I would be considering a move like this, perhaps, limiting the potential of the field whilst also indirectly protecting my city. Or maybe a move like this, starting a road, trying to play against this square, and in the worst case scenario, if our opponent draws a curve, then at the very least we have a 4-point road as compensation. And this is exactly what he does, but he chooses not to meeple it just yet. Yuha gets himself a meeple back anyway. Now green wishes he would have gone over here with the curve pointing upwards so that he could have his 6-point road. If that were to happen, of course, Yuha would just easily equalize. Warta starts a new city. He does not want to take the 4 points over here because there's still chances of the city getting completed. Yuha, in the meantime, is the first to take a crack at the 6-point road, which could end up being significant. Warta with 4 more points on the scoreboard and a meeple back. Yuha finally with a city tile that surely will go over here and completely block the square. Dagger for Warta can get his meeple back at the top whilst prolonging but not finishing Red's road, that the best tile that he could have possibly hoped for. And now this field is 9 points, so worth fighting for. And now that we have the meeples and we have consolidated, now we can think about fighting for the field. 9 points is the lead for the Brazilian. Some scoring potential on this road equals the scoring potential on this road over here. 6-point ruin sort of kind of equals a 9-point field, but not really. So overall, an equalish position with a slight advantage for the Brazilian. Dorito tile for red. Chooses to add a point to his city, but make it more vulnerable. And as Warta, you're definitely taking advantage of that. You're not going over here for 3 points. You're going over here for 2 points and an obstruction. So that's the price that red has to pay. Now much harder to finish the city. Note that 2 splitters are still available to accomplish that anyway. Yuha is now trying to build up his field, get himself some more green squares, and also prevent Warta from going over here and dropping a farmer. I'm pretty sure that he was already drooling over it, but it's still a good tile for the Brazilian. A variety of strong moves. Well, I can think of a couple. He could go over here, adding himself 1 point and then trying to build up his ruin further to take advantage of these 2 empty city tiles. This idea would build up the ruin to 10 or 11 points. He could go over here, adding 1 point to his city side and setting up a sneaky field attacking platform through here like this. Or he could try and go over here, play against Yuha's meeples minority and try and exert some additional pressure on the square. All three respectable moves. With a slight lead, I probably prefer scoring, which is exactly what the Brazilian does. Juha gets a meeple back, catches up on the scoreboard, and it's a game again. Dagger for green. Not many options, surprisingly, so he could just start a new city safely somewhere here, perhaps. An interesting choice would be to go over here and try to finish a city with some sort of city plus road city cap to limit this square. This could turn south in a couple of scenarios, but I would consider doing that. There's no truly safe place to start and build our city, and Warta chooses to... Oh dear. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. To play for the Ninja Farmer, which in all likelihood could cost him the game here. The reason why it is a misguided effort is not only because there are still 2 crossroads available to block this meeple off for 0 points. Okay, so there's only 1 crossroads available, but still, it's not only that, and it's not only the fact that this square can get blocked pretty easily with this sort of tile. It's the fact that this move simply does not score enough points. Because it is an invasion of a 9-point field, but in the process, you're building up your opponent's roads, you're giving your opponent 2 points. So it's a meeple investment for 7 points, which is really not a lot. You're better off just finishing a normal 4-point city and then getting yourself an honest meeple back. 4 points and a meeple back is better than 7 points and no meeple back. Juha, now with a variety of options to just inflict a lot of damage on green. He did get the splitter to catch up on the scoreboard. And let's now start exploring the options. Option 1, we go here, we're threatening an 8-point city. And then there's possibly not enough time for our opponent to block and connect to their field. Instead, a more direct approach is chosen by red. Starting a new city in a safe place and also exposing some blocking potential. This would, of course, block his own road, but not a source of concern. And now, the problem for Warta is that he can't defend. If he goes here, hoping for one of the dagger tiles, that would be too much hoping because all of the dagger tiles are gone. Or are they? Yes, there are. 1, 2, 3. So this invasion is specifically predicated on Warta drawing one of the Chudorito tiles with the road before Juha gets himself the butterfly tile or some sort of blocking sequence. Which means that if you place this meeple like this, you're not even the favorite to invade. So the expected value of invasion is less than half of what would have been 7 points. But even if this meeple is blocked, actually, given the fact that Warta's still ahead, there are still plenty of chances. Ooh, another invasion. Well, will you look at that? Now, this square is completely blocked. Yeah, really, the Brazilian instincts of Lucio are just really kicking in. Field, field, field. Give me field, field, field. Caring only about the field and nothing else. And, like, I wonder why such a vicious fight for a 9-point field. It's not like 21 points. And this move here is also a bit of an interesting invasion because it can also be blocked. There's still one tile that goes over here, the extender tile, that would prevent this meeple from coming into the field. And there's only, well, actually there are 2 tiles available for connection. These city tiles over here. But the thing with those city tiles, if you want to use the splitter tile to invade like this, then you will be sacrificing 4 points by not meepling one of those city caps. So this means that even though this invasion will make you 9 points, it will actually make you only 5 points because you will be sacrificing 4 to make 9. This is something that needs to be taken into the calculation. Note that an invasion... Oh, yeah, I mean, the dagger doesn't even work anyway. Warta also, for some reason, chooses to take 2 points instead of 3. Well, I guess there are reasons for this. Here, he didn't want to take 3 points because this would leave a city cap in what potentially is not his field. Here, he didn't want to take 3 points in order not to restrict his own ruin building potential. Here, he did not want to take 2 points in order not to create a counter field. Well, some sigh of relief for our Brazilian fans as the blocking tile for this square is drawn by the Brazilian, so it's not possible to go over here. But now, a chance for Yuha to invade this ruin, which is a chance that he should probably take. There are still 2 triple city tiles available. And given the fact that your opponent is now threatening to draw the city cap tiles to go over here, then you're more likely to draw the tile that you need over here. So, like, whenever your opponent has a threat, it's always a good idea to have a counter threat of your own, so that your opponent would need to draw both the tile that he himself needs and your tiles that you need to prevent you from doing your stuff. And with only 4 tile draws remaining for Warta, it looks increasingly unlikely. So that's why the invasion takes place. Warta, I was going to say with a scoring tile, but no options to score. But I think we're going to see another farmer over here just going all in for these 9 points. By the way, I need to point out that the ruin's worth way more than 9 points at this point, so this field is not even the most valuable feature on the board. Or Warta could just go here and drop a city cap at his 0-point farm, and then try to set up a 7-pointer. He could even try to meeple it. Yeah, okay, he goes for the invasion, of course. Of course he goes for the invasion. It actually kind of makes some sense. Although the problem with that move is that if he invades here, he's going to get blocked here. And if he invades here, he's going to be blocked here. But actually, now that I think about it, it's still quite likely that the Brazilian's still going to win. The main threat that he's going to need to dodge is Red's completing a city. And it is still possible because there are still 2 triple city tiles and at least 2 city caps. So a triple city plus city cap combo would be utterly devastating for Warta here. I'm just checking if there are Doritos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh yes, that 1 Dorito remaining. Yeah, so this move from Warta is saying that I will draw the straight line, I will draw a connection tile over here, and then I will even draw... Oh, there was even a splitter. Also, remember how I told that he could get one of his meeples blocked? Scratch that, he could get two of his meeples blocked, but the splitter is used at the bottom to separate the big ruin, which makes a lot of sense. And now Yuha with a choice. He can't go here because this is not a real block. Probably he wants to go here and try to finish his city. And this still gives room red for green to actually invade over here. Man, who could have thought that we would have seen a dramatic field fight for a field worth 9 points? Which now, of course, is successfully being invaded by the Brazilian with 3 attempts. And now Yuha with a pretty easy chance to win. So he just needs to hope for the coin flip. He just needs to hope to draw the last remaining city cap that fits into this square. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so now a check for Warta. Warta draws the Dorito. He needs to realize that Yuha has the city cap. So he needs to avoid taking 4 points over here. And go over here and take 3 points. And block this square. Don't throw the game. Don't be greedy. Don't take 4 points. Take 3. But since he's thinking about it, he's definitely counting. But actually, this is one of those moments where tile counting should be easy. Another instructive moment. When green was invading, he must have counted the tiles that allowing the invasion, because like how else could he drop a farmer there? And at that point, he must have known that there were 2 of these split city caps remaining. Since he drew only 1 of those, the second one must still be in the deck. And that's the difference between tile counting and tile tracking. Of course, it makes sense to recount and be extra sure. But if you're short on time, then you just use your memory. I just want to double check that I'm not wrong. No, I'm not wrong. This is the tile that Yuha has in hand, and Warta does recount and does deny a 10-point city for the Taiwanese player. A 4-point move will be the consequence, a variety of options to accomplish that. 4-point city in a shared field, 4-point city in a non-shared field, maybe a 1-point city move plus a 3-point city move, maybe a 1-point city move plus a 3-point farm. So take your pick. The farming move is the aesthetics that have been chosen. And I don't know who won. I actually think Warta has it, because of preserving his big ruin. Which is great news not only for the Brazilian fans, but also for our neutral fans, because yet again, we will be witnessing another decider. I think, yes, we will. So important that Lucio took his time, managed to complete the block, kept his composure, and made the comeback for a 2-point win, which again is a bit more dramatic than it had to be. So 3 meeples and a bunch of sacrificed points spent on equalizing a 9-point farm. And somehow it was still enough. The third game is about to start. I'll update the scoreboard to reflect that the score is currently 1-1. And there we go. The last game of the week of an exciting Carcassonne Champions League week. We will be looking at the all the group situations a little bit later. And then trying to make some predictions for next week as well. Oh, how interesting games. I don't know those at all. I think competitive Carcassonne players can kind of divide themselves into two groups. One group is, just board game fans across the board. For example, Vladimir Kovalev would be one of those out of the top players who come to mind. And then there's the other group, which kind of plays Carcassonne or almost Carcassonne only. And for example, Ervin G of Romania comes to mind, who has played almost 20,000 Carcassonne games and almost no other games in Board Game Arena. And I would probably be a bit something in between, definitely close to Carcassonne only, but also have been doing a lot of Azul, a lot of competitive Scrabble, at least like at a decent level, and some other games not competitively. It looks like the Brazilian expert is in the former group. Hi, Agatha. Okay, so we have some fans of Taiwan as well. That should balance it out. And I wonder if the players were announcing a break or something. I'm gonna start closing down these older games from earlier today. Let me just check Yuha's account if the game has been created. Do they even know that they have to play a decider? Did they forget that Yuha won the first game? Okay, so just a sec. So a break is indeed suggested, which is what we will be doing as well. So I'm going to replenish my stock of hot beverages and see you in about 90 seconds. Alrighty, the players are back, the commentator is hydrated, and Carcassonne is about to begin. or has begun rather. So Yuha with the starting player advantage and a nice position. This time didn't shy away from a 3-point monastery, and now it's actually getting blocked, which again is not such a big deal. Then they did not want to build the second monastery, which is their loss. Whoa, Warta now being aggressive, meeples the city, which is lovely. I mean, it will get blocked, of course, but it will be blocked together with Yuha's monastery, and Warta, due to completing this city early on, is now 8 points ahead on the scoreboard. High Nepamai. So the move for the Taiwanese players to go here, continue his city, and start a new ring road as well. And the reason why you really want to be placing a tile here soon is because this is not just the sneaky city. It's a sneaky blocking threat. Warta is threatening to draw a Dorito tile and actually block the square, but tie 2 red meeples to it and just 1 meeple of his own. And now, last game, I was criticizing the Brazilian for being too obsessed with field, but here, this actually would be a good thing. Okay, this also makes sense, but this would have been stronger. This makes total sense. Simply starting a new city, putting some pressure on this square, expanding what is going to be his ruin. That's also quite worth it. Now, it could be a little bit dangerous, and I'll explain why in a bit of a second, but I really like the farmer move here, just to exploit that temporary meeple majority and also trying to set up some blocking attacks. So the idea is that if you draw a city cap over here, or even a tile like this, which he did, then you can expose this square with tempo. Well, both players seem to be very shy about those monasteries, but this beauty here will be meepled by anyone regardless, so Warta was sort of... Actually, this was a decent move. It was threatening a block of this. It wasn't the best move in this position. The best move was just to meeple the 3-point monastery and control the city, but as a result, we see that the advantage now starts tilting a little bit to the Taiwanese player's side. 7 points is really a lot. It's certainly enough to compensate for the scoreboard difference, but that was a great find here by Warta, scoring 2 points, obstructing Red City. It's not a block really, because Red can get a bunch of tiles that go here. For example, 3 Doritos, Cow, and City Cap is a possible combo that can build this up. But Red had problems in other areas, such as this square, which is kind of vulnerable. So then let's say if Green completes his city, exposes this square, even if Red has a defense, something like over here with a curve, then suddenly this square becomes vulnerable. So there are, of course, plenty of scenarios how this meeple gets out alive, and this meeple gets out alive, and maybe Red draws one of the 2 remaining monasteries and finishes his monastery with another monastery, and then gets like 20 points in just 4 tiles. But it's not that it's guaranteed to happen or anything. Yuha is building up his city, which makes sense. Warta finishes a 6-point city and tries to put a direct threat against the square. Yuha with probably the best tile they could have hoped for. Not only is it a defense, it is one of those few defense tiles that actually does not expose but protect the square. Agatha is asking, should the horse be put to the left bottom of the upper monastery? No, I think this was strong. I mean, it scores and obstructs the city. I don't really see anything else. And I think when this move was placed, was the monastery already here? I don't quite remember. Well, anyway, now Warta drops a farmer, and Yuha just protects everything, gets 4 points, protects this square, and from a position which was difficult for reds, we're headed in a position which is difficult for green. 11 points on the scoreboard is really not a lot when you're playing against a monastery in a city. Still, it's good to have the stronghold on the field. It's also good to have drawn this quadruple city tile and have yourself this ruin expansion potential. And another thing that this quadruple city does, it endangers this square quite a lot. Because now this means that Warta, Yuha rather, cannot place... okay. Oh, it's a bit... Oh, okay. How would I say this? I can see the purpose of this move. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it one bit. It says playing as if he's ahead, which he isn't. So this here move just solves all of Red's problems. I was about to explain how sensitive the city was because Red had to draw a triple city tile before drawing the city caps, because if Red were to draw the city caps, then this square would have been immediately been blockable because the quadruple city tile has already gone out. And with only 4 triple city tiles remaining, this sequence is actually like a bit annoying to deal with. This, because let's say like if as you get this triple city tile, then Warta can get a straight line and block that square. But none of that is a problem if you equalize the city. And there were other moves available. For example, just going over here, dropping a farmer. Connecting through Red City was an option. Now the field is tied. And because this city has been equalized, Warta has no longer learned to a meeple majority, because that was one of his trumps, his one trump to compensate the difference from this monastery. Now that these guys are equalized, it's just a pure advantage of several points for Yuha, and anything could happen in this game. So like 60% winning chance for the Taiwanese player, 40% chance for the Brazilian, roughly. Yuha now, with not the easiest decision actually, although I should take that back. It is a pretty easy decision if you ask me. Maybe not so easy. I like equalizing the city here because it makes sure that this guy could not complete easily this thing that he's trying to complete, and that thing is called a city. I wonder why I would just forget that. And Red is apprehensive about his field invasion prospects. That's why he chose to invade straight away. I think that's a bit excessive. There were still so many tiles to fit into the square, so this wasn't really a risk. Red is now trying to start a new city and drop a farmer upon completion, which is of course a threat that must be immediately met, and Lucio has played Carcassonne long enough to recognize what the greatest threat in Carcassonne is. Finishing a city, dropping a farmer. I learned this the hard way, I remember. Actually, specifically by losing a lot of games against Brazilians when I just joined Board Game Arena after a long hiatus. Specifically, I lost like several games to Umberto Fukuda, who just kept finishing a city, dropping a farmer, finishing a city, dropping a farmer, and he like ended up with 4 farmers, and I had 1 farmer, and we were completely equal on the scoreboard, and there was just no way to compensate. This was, of course, in early 2021. And then kind of later on, I realized that, yeah, it's a threat that needs to be dealt with. Speaking of threats, there was this blocking threat of this square, which Yua has dealt with pretty nicely. There's still 2 tiles left that fit into the square, so this was a nice defensive move. And upon completion, the Taiwanese player will be able to meeple this 5-point road. If I were red, I would probably be looking forward to drawing a crossroads before even getting this tile, just so that I can pre-build that 5-point road for myself. And then get the starting tile, get the 5 points, 8 points for the city, instantly 2 meeples back. In the meantime, Green has some strong setups of his own, trying to complete a 10-point city over here, getting a meeple back, potentially even dropping another farmer. So Red is thinking how to obstruct that city. The most obvious move that comes to mind is this. The orientation is the question. A rule of thumb about this orientation is you need to see how many Doritos there are and how many city caps there are. If there are a lot of Doritos, then you probably want to go like, not like this, yeah. But if there are fewer Doritos, then you want to do exactly this, because then Green cannot easily draw a tile over here, a Dorito to consolidate. With 5 Doritos on the board, Yuha decided that it is sort of kind of enough to try and go for this type of block. And in that particular instance, this square is kind of sensitive, and maybe Yuha is hoping to draw a tile that fits like this, such as an extender, and then block that square. And that's something that Warta is also worried about. So they're choosing not to get quick points here and hope for a series of Doritos, which is something I still would have done. But instead to place a city cap over here and have a direct threat of finishing their city on the next move with the city cap, which is actually also really reasonable if their opponent has just 1 meeple, but... Well, big mistake here by Yuha, sadly. They finished their monastery, which is of course understandable. And they will be now scoring 4 points, but this allows Warta to finish a 14-point city pretty easily, and all this tile does, it ends up helping Green. Now, but the reason why this was a mistake is not so much because we needed to use this curve to try and block that square, which we did need to use anywhere. It's more about the fact that we actually don't want to be finishing our monastery in the first place. So you see what this move did here. Inadvertently, it blocked this field's connection square for Green. This access to the main field through here. So the only access to the main field for Green was through here. So as Red, we actually don't want to be completing our monastery because we don't want to be granting field access to this guy. Now the field is completely tied and we don't have that advantage anymore. I mean, we do have that meeple again, but then we will be just using that meeple to drop a farmer again. So what's the point of getting a meeple back if you will need to spend multiple moves on using that meeple again? So as Red, what we should have done is just stay put and force Warta to get a curve and connect to the farm himself so that they spend a move and they gave us a meeple back, and then we have the tempo that allow us to reinvade the field later. Because now the Brazilian player is still in decent shape. Of course, Yuha still has the advantage due to this setup over here. 2 tiles that fit is a nice thing to have if you care about your winning probabilities. But Warta maybe can try and start overrunning the field. So I wonder if he is going to try the same trick as last time, going over here and connecting through the outside of a curve. Or did he learn his lesson from the previous game? We will find out in 1 minute 33 seconds or less. So his alternatives include just starting a 4-point road, which would also make sense. we're running short on crossroads a little bit. There are only 2 of those remaining, so there is some risk of his road getting blocked, but maybe that ain't no such big deal. He could go over here at the top and drop a farmer straight away. Just to comment, by the way, the field will have at least 15 points due to oh dear. Due to multiple available completed cities. And it probably will have some more, because red could finish a city over here and green could finish a city over here. So green decided to invade straight away. As green, instead, I would have first preferred to prepare the invasion and then invade. And by preparing, I mean to first of all kind of secure that square. Maybe place that curve over here, make it a bit harder to block, and then invade on the next move. But this move still ends up working out sort of kind of okay, because there's still 1 tile that fits into this square. So a chance for Warta to draw a 4-point city and connect to the field. And even though that's 1 tile and just a 50 shot, from a win percentage standpoint, it actually matters a lot, because as green, you win either if you get that tile to connect to the field, because 18 points, or 22 points rather, because you're getting 4 points for the city as well. 22 points is a lot to gain with just 1 tile. But you also win if your opponent gets that tile, but you get both starting tiles. Because overall, Warta's slightly ahead, so this city compensates this farmer, this monastery plus this city compensates this city plus this city. And everything is shared, and before that move, Warta was ahead a couple of points, but now Yuha's ahead due to his scoring move over here. And Warta can still develop his field at the top, so that's an excellent city cap to be starting a new city with. It's now a subtle decision whether you just drop it in your field, and dropping is his preferred route. Maybe just not the orientation I would have chosen. And well, actually, no, it makes some sense. Or maybe just going upstairs like this and leaving it open. Yuha can now block that city cap. Yeah, so the reason why I really liked placing the city cap outwards is because there's still starting tiles. And because here it's easily blockable. With something like this, or even with a straight line, this city cap can be blocked completely. Well, technically not completely, because there would be still 1 dagger that fits into the square, but remember that that dagger needs to be used by green over here already. So this would be making sure that green doesn't have any additional tile sequences that allow him to win the game. And also this happens to be the last vanilla tile. So if you're dropping it like this, then you're only giving yourself 2 tiles to succeed. Oh, interesting. So red chooses not to block. Instead, red chooses to just dump a city cap into the shared field, potentially eliminating a field invasion square, but I don't think that's what you have to do. As red, you actually want to keep the field open. Because if green invades, then you can still get your meeple back from here, and then if the field is open, you can re-invade and equalize the field, and you probably will still be winning. Because of that point difference. Warta can score a little bit. It is a choice between going over here for direct 2 points, which would also eliminate a scoring opportunity for his opponent, because there's still one splitter remaining that can be used over here for Juha for 3 points. The downside of that move, or the upside depending on who you ask, is the fact that it will expose a field connection platformer, of course. Oh wait, it's Juha's move, so obviously he's not going to go there. Yeah, maybe we just go here, try to mess with that city cap a little bit. But this is not as valuable as the other option on our previous move, simply because regardless of how we place this Dorito, it will still leave at least one tile that fits into this square. In this case, it's the splitter tile. So Warta has 2 high impact tiles and Juha has 2, now only 1, as the Brazilian draws the first starting tile that fits into this square. And if green doesn't draw the dagger, then green can still get a splitter here for a 7-point move. Or even a 9-point move, it is closer to the end of the game. Ah, interesting. So Warta's trying to eliminate field connection options. It was in theory possible for red to go over here with a straight line, invade to the outside of a curve. It seems to me that the Brazilian is liking his chances after drawing this tile over here. This would be, like, you know what situation would be very interesting for me? If Juha draws the starting tile and the dagger, but Warta draws the splitter. So I'm wondering how we're doing for winning chances then, because then we're sort of kind of even. Warta with a curve. He might be looking to go over here and restrict some attacking potential against the field a little bit. You don't want to be going over here because you do not want to be disrupting your field. There are still some scenarios how we might have to drop a horizontal splitter and then try to score one more city point somewhere like this. Instead, he does choose to obstruct his field, fully betting on invading over here, and now a great tile for Juha because it gives him 4 points, or net 3 points, and there's also a field invasion platform, which I wonder if it's going to be used by Warta. That's actually very interesting. And it also denies Warta easy points for his top field. Juha's ahead 3 points, and the field is 18. So with 10 tiles remaining, is it worth dropping his last farmer and attacking the field and trying to secure it completely? And the answer here may be yes. Let's say if he goes here, and Juha gets the starting tile that's 8 points, then presumably Warta gets here and connects. This farm will be 21, this farm will be 3. So he's going to have 24 points on the farm. Juha's going to have 11 points on the scoreboard. And this here situation, let's say it's completely equal. So then Juha will be behind 14 points for the price of 2 meeples. And I think the decision by Warta might be justified because with 7 tiles remaining, it will be quite difficult to compensate 14 points, even with some quick points tiles available still in the deck. So I like this decision by Warta, and I also like that it took a bit of calculation here. This does not mean that the decision of Juha to score here was wrong by any means, because he can't just wait and roll over, whilst Warta might be drawing scoring tiles of himself. And it also forces Warta essentially to spend his last meeple, denying him some scoring potential, and gives you a couple of extra win conditions. So Yuha could end up blocking this square. There are not a lot of tiles remaining that fit there. There are a couple. Or maybe there's still the chance for the Taiwanese player to go over here and outscore green. I know that there are no crossroads remaining. So in theory, this square could be limited toward the crossroads and cut off this farmer completely, but it's not possible to do so in one move, because in order to block the square toward the crossroads, you need a crossroads, and you would need a crossroads here, but it doesn't exist. So this is actually a really lovely configuration here with two curves sort of pre-built. If there are, oh, this is so interesting. If there were only one crossroads in the deck, this connection would have been more dangerous compared to what it is now, because it is safer with no crossroads in the deck. But now, a great decision here from Yuha. He's now trying to block that square. And this square is not blocked. There's still one tile that fits there. But it just so happens that it says this tile, the same tile that fits over here. So, with this move, Yuha made sure that he needs to draw only one particular tile to guarantee himself an equality on the field. Warta's building his city at the top, which on one hand makes sense, but on the other hand opens up a field connection platform which the Brazilian may not have been aware of. Because, like, I wonder, as Yuha, imagine if Yuha draws this sort of tile. He could just go over here and invade the field. I assume that this move must have calculated that an invasion is unlikely, but it's certainly a source of concern and nervousness for all of our Brazilian fans, and a source of hope for everybody who's rooting for Taiwan. Oh yes, of course, Yuha would not invade with the dagger, because then if they were to get the dagger, then, like, these meeples would have been gone. But there is a way how Yuha could invade with a starting tile. There is a scenario where Yuha does not get a starting tile to complete his city. Instead, he uses it to invade the field if Warta draws the dagger. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There are still two curves that are available in the square. And as Warta, I wonder if you actually just go here. Oh, that was Warta. Oh, that was Warta. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. Okay, as Yuha, you can actually go over here, and this would guarantee yourself an equality in the field. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Instead, he decides to go for the 50-50, assuming that he would not have enough if he were to get equality on the field. He's just hoping to get the dagger tile and then win like this. Warta has 9 points on farms extra from these here and these here parts. Now has a curve. No effective place to use it. I've lost track a little bit of who's ahead, but I think Warta had a couple of points. Yeah, Warta should be ahead 6 points at the moment. So even if Yuha gets the dagger, he might not be able to use the dagger for the right amount of points. He does in fact get the dagger. But can he score 7 points in order to win? I don't think he can. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, I was thinking that maybe this dagger could have been used for a ruin invasion, but there are no triple city tiles available. Why is Maze saying that I miscounted? What did I miscount? The points? It is possible. Wait, okay, this 3-point farmer equals this 3-point farmer. You has 3 on the scoreboard. The main farm is equal. 7 for the monastery against 6 for the city. That's +1, so that's +4 for Yuha. 4-point city against the 5-point city. That's +3 for Yuha. Ah, and Warta has only 6 here. So only 3 points is the Brazilians' lead, really? Will we see a win by 1 point? Oh, no, 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 the throw! Ah, the throw! Warta had a win! All he had to do was to go over here and block the 4-point road. And then the best scoring move for Yuha would have been a 3-point road. Which is not enough. I did not forget Red's ruin. Wait, which Red's ruin? No, this one I did not forget. What did I forget? No, it is a win by 1. It is a win by 1 indeed, and oh no! Well, Lucia will be disappointed to find out, but anyway, with 2 minutes remaining, you really have to find that winning move. Also, I think Yuha miscounting a little bit on his last move, and I think he could have secured himself a 100% win. So, on his penultimate move, Yuha had to actually go here and then start a 3-point road, which would create him a 4-point road, no matter what his final tiles were. But instead, the Taiwanese player made a mistake and just pre-built a road. And with his curve, which was his winning tile, Warta could have gone over here, disrupting the square, not allowing Red to take this 4-point road, making sure that Red has to keep himself a 3-point road, making the game tied, and because Red was the starting player, Red would have lost. And so sadly, a bit of impatience with 2 minutes on the clock. The Brazilian player didn't go through the effort of counting the tiles with the same diligence as he did in his last game and just conceded a 4-point road and thus the entire match. So it is, of course, a blunder. It is not like the most easy thing to see, these sort of endgame tactics, but certainly must have been disappointing to fight so hard and find so many good farming moves just to end up losing by 1 point in a game which was 100% won by the player with the green meeples. Well, hopefully a bit of learning experience for them about endgame tactics. Yeah, so we conclude our game with this. Of course, it's interesting to view as spectators. For the players themselves or for the Brazilian fans, this must hurt, but such are mind sports. 1 point is the difference. And the Taiwanese player will be securing the win. So this concludes week 2 of the 2025 Carcassonne Champions League. And before wrapping up, I want to look a little bit at the outcome of all the matches. So I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to scroll through. Here, of course, self-evident won against Tito earlier today. Oh, this match has yet to be rescheduled. Wait, actually, speaking of this, let me just check my messages, because I wonder if it is happening sometime soon. Oh no. No messages. So they just reported this to the admins, but the rescheduled time of that match has not been set. I likely will not be able to cover it. So we don't know the score, even though it's actually quite interesting because it's in the group in which I'm playing. Then here in the Battle of the Lords, I forgot. I think Terry was the one who won. Yeah, he won 2-1. This was in the yesterday's Saturday stream together with Glovier. Leo Da Vinci won against Pyro 2-1. Well, Yuha just won against Warta. And Kaika with the upset against the Czech Master. All right, and now it's time to check how this impacts our group situation. So Group A, the player with screen name Hydro Baby in clear leads with 2 wins. I guess this must have been the only group that has been updated. Yeah, but here in Group 2, well, we have actually quite a bit of a mess because Tito has won, Self-Evident has won, then Viv also lost against Game Over. So, okay, so I think Ilias Lenimsky is the one in the lead because they won against Lambay, and Lambay is the only player to not have won a match yet. In Group C, StatMat and yours truly are tied in first place with 2 wins in 2 matches and 4 games won and 1 game lost, but not for long because actually StatMat against Alexey is the pairing for round 3. So only 1 player will be on 3 victories after round 3. Here, Lord Terrycloth appears to be in the leads, together with Secret Star, who I think will be eventually awarded the win against Tarakan of 28. Although we don't know that because they still have to play the decider. I know that there were some issues with them being responsive to scheduling matches, but hopefully that is resolved soon enough. Migot with the upset against Siegfried blows this group wide open. So far, it's only the British Lord who has 2 matches, won in 2 rounds. In Group E, MTU of Poland is doing really well, probably looking to qualify from the first spot. Pyro with some upsets as they have already lost 2 matches and they are still yet to play the rating favorite of the group. Group F, Wisemay is in sole lead with the same number of matches won as Bakshay of Taiwan. Mate 11, the 3rd master of the group, managed already to lose 1 match rather. Hi Nicholas. In Group G, which that also happens to be wide open because Erwin lost to Nepamai, and now Yuha won. Port guard Samuelson, I forgot the outcome, but one of these guys should be at 2 victories. Everybody else except Warta at 1. So now, quite a difficult situation here from the Brazilian. Probably he would need to win 3 more games if he wants to qualify, but this would include 2 masters and 1 player in their mid 650s. And Group H, predictably, Rabbit Rain is ahead. It hasn't been updated that they won against Oscaridis, which is also was when they set their record for the highest ever ELO recorded in classical Carcassonne on Board Game Arena, which was, I think, something like 886. Yes, 886. That was accomplished in Game 1 against Oscaridis on stream, so go ahead and watch that. Then, sharing the lead, or rather in second place with a bit of a worse tiebreaker, is not the Czech master, but the Malaysian expert Kaika, so they accomplished something quite important for their chances of qualification. And they will be looking to win 1 more match to secure a space in their top 3. So that is their situation. Let's just see if there are any more matches scheduled. No, so these are only the ones from this round that have been not scheduled yet or rescheduled that needs to still be played, and they probably will seep into week 3. But finally, already 1 match of week 3 has been scheduled. This is the battle of 2 experts, Oscaridis of Spain and Crocodile Funny of the United States, and we will be showing that tomorrow at 2100 UTC on this channel, so make sure to subscribe. If you want to not miss the notifications, you will also need to click the notification bell, because I have a lot of messages and comments saying that sometimes even subscribers don't get notifications. Make sure to maple the like button for the algorithm, and that's it. Week over, time to do other stuff which is not Carcassonne. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.